And as he said in the interview, the 17-minute interview, if I learned anything, it's because I worried about things that didn't matter. And now, other than swearing a lot, which he didn't before, and other than firing people, it sounds like left, right, and center, like he doesn't give a shit. Well, he doesn't. Now, it's a big hurdle to get over. If you're in the non-trigger pulling mode, as virtually everybody that comes through the operation, it's hard. It's forget the humanitarian aspect of it, which has got nothing to do with it. If they didn't want to get fired, they should have fucking done a good job. But nobody ever says that. I don't give a fuck if you got 3 tits on 3 kids that you're supporting. You should have thought of that before you were a shitty employee. But nobody even dares to say that now. Doesn't being a good employee ever register? I mean, doesn't account for anything? And time in grade, just because you're there 10, 20 years, doesn't mean a fucking thing. Have you helped the organization grow for those 10 or 20 years? As I've told you, the guy's there 10 years, he's got 1 year experience 10 times. So, I mean, what's your takeaway from listening to him? Yes, sir.
He gets respect from the people he works with for having high expectations.
Yeah, and he also gets respect because he fires people. It's a shitty thing to say, but fear works. In the 21st century, fear fucking works. And unfortunately, nothing works better than fucking fear. And it's the antithesis of what you've been taught. But you've been taught by people that have never created generational wealth, have they? In fact, most of your parents, they haven't created shit other than you. And you should have rolled down your mama's fat leg. What else about him? Once you get in the flow, it's easy. But as he even mentioned, it was hard for him in the beginning. Everybody thinks you can do it the easy way, being, I'm okay. There was a book. I believe the book that started the deterioration of the human race was, a book was written in 1969 by a psychiatrist named Stein. I'm okay, you're okay. Basically, you can piss on my leg and I can piss on your leg and everybody's cool. That's the theme of the book. It was the beginning of the downfall of mankind. It was the best fucking seller. I'm okay, you're okay. And now look at us. 50 years later, we're not okay, and you're not okay. Now he's in. He enjoys the success he's garnered, and he said, which is true, one of the businesses he bought for less than 1 times EBITDA, 0.7. So when the bank says that they'll loan 2 to 5, buying something at 0.7 is easy to overfinance. And as he said, one of the companies, it was the debt service, they were creating 10 times cash flow to debt service. 10 times. But I believe the banker that turned it down and he ultimately got the deal done, then they focused on his age and his lack of experience. So something happened there, a phone call, he told him to fuck off or whatever. He's leaving that out of the story, but he's only been asked about his age 1 time, and it's after he did deals, not before. Anything else about?
Don't waste time on sellers that aren't sure. Don't waste time.
Exactly, and that's hard because it's going to take you, hopefully only 2 or 3, but it's going to take you a few sellers to ascertain whether they're serious or not. It's most of them are. They used to call them looky-loos, when you'd come in and kick the tires and never buy anything. Well, these are the reverse. These are the reverse of looky-loos. They talk to you, but they're not really interested in selling. Some people, you'll find, some couples, some husband will put his company up for sale just to get his wife off his back. I want you to sell the business so he can retire. And so he'll put it up for sale, but he has no intention of selling it. It gets his wife off his back. Sometimes the parents will put the company up for sale to get the kids off their back. You ought to retire. You're going to fall dead in the business, Dad, Mom. There's a lot of different reasons businesses go up for sale, many of which aren't legitimate because they want to really sell. And until you get in the trenches and you start slopping around with the hogs, I mean, you don't know. You don't know. I mean, that's why you don't take your directors, you don't want to burn them out, to the practice meetings in the beginning. You take them to the serious meetings. The serious meetings. Because you don't want to take some poor CFO, retired guy from PwC to 20 potential sellers. He'll get uninterested very quickly. In the beginning, your board should be excited, should be interested, should be wanting to go that extra mile. But the longer you go between the time you recruit them until you make an acquisition, a lot of things can happen, and they're all bad because they get disinterested. They lose confidence in you. They lose confidence in the model. They lose confidence in the economy. God knows, but everything that happens is a loss, not a gain. And that's why the quicker these are done, the better. But the takeaway to me when I listened to it, of course, I was reading his weekly reports, is how he came. He didn't want to do this, but he came to realize that the best way to manage these people were tight, hold them accountable, and if they didn't do it, fire them. And Steve Jobs says there are no second chances. And there really aren't. So you're either going to be there to benefit him or them and their families, or you. You make the decision. And we know how the assassin over there is going to treat them, Cut their ears off, slit their throat, and leave them for dead. Okay? Now that's an exaggeration, but obviously we don't want anybody cutting anybody's ears off or leaving them for dead. Yes?
Did you communicate his expectations to the employees?
Yeah, that's what if I don't communicate my expectations to you, I can't expect you to fulfill my expectations. That's the theory, right? That's horseshit. That's a myth. You conveying your expectations to anybody doesn't mean a fucking thing. That's one of the great myths. There's a bunch of other sexual myths, but I don't want to go on YouTube. My daughter may, but I'll gladly share them with you when we're off of YouTube. No. In theory, that's what the Human Resource Manual says. How many times did you warn them verbally first, right? Then you give them a written warning, right? And then maybe there's some human resources procedures give 3 written warnings. No, 2 verbal, 3 written. Again, well, there are companies like that. And then you go before a tribunal of your peers. Okay? Twice. And then you go, what are you, crazy? Are we here to create jobs for people that are worthless? Or are we here to create equity and make the world a better place by making a lot of money, and then you guys, some of you, will go save the world with it? Everybody doesn't deserve to be hired. Everybody doesn't deserve to live unless they're creating something positive for the planet. And most of the employees, unfortunately, that you're going to come up against are worthless. And when you ask the owner, he'll say, well, I might sell, but I want to keep all the employees. Remember I told you $3 million? Well, how about $4 million? I fire everybody. Where do I sign? That sounds better from a seller, like he's a humanitarian. But, money talks and bullshit walks. And do I like it this way? No. I happen to excel at this methodology, but I wish everybody was slappy happy. I wish I didn't have to, say fuck and scream at people. It'd be a lot easier. But listen, I mean, before he wouldn't say shit, it was in his mouth. Because he tested the methodology and the adjectives, and it works. When I tell you, I really appreciate if you could consider changing your work habits. You're late again, asshole, you're fired. Now, which method is more effective? I can't even imagine. No, I'd really appreciate it if you consider changing your work habits. He turns around and he laughs at me. Yet there are management courses being taught today that's the answer. And that's why the answer I get mostly on the snowflake test, well, I try to consider if he was having a bad day. Now, what does that have to do with him spitting in your wife's face? What? Other than we're in the 21st century and political correctness has gone crazy. Back 200,000 years, the caveman, if he just looked at my woman, I smack him in the head with a fucking big, where's my picture of me, the caveman? Here. Okay. What else about Josh? Any questions about how he did it, what he did?
One question, sir.
Sure.
So I noticed you and Josh were saying the same thing. So when you fire everyone, so your dream team helps you rehire all these people in that.
In theory, yes. In practicality, they don't want to fire everybody either.
Yeah.
Because they were raised in the old human resource method. A tribunal, or this or that. But as he said, one of the reasons that he's moving his operation to Las Vegas is because it's right to hire or right to work state. That's, because it's easy to hire and let go people. It's easy.
Because if some people are there for 10, 15 years and they have all the experience and we hire.
Well, okay, yeah. But, okay, you have to determine, in bedpans, legacy knowledge isn't too important. It doesn't take but about an hour to teach you how to clean a bedpan. That's a slight exaggeration, okay? That's a slight exaggeration, but you don't need a bunch of, you need 15 years experience in changing bedpans and wiping a poor old guy's ass. I mean, seriously. That's why I say it's the simplest. It's the lowest of low-hanging fruits. Or one of the kids said, it's the lowest of low-hanging dingleberries, which are poop that stick to your butt, And but I'm a kind of gentle guy. I don't use that analogy. But it's the lowest of lowest, And that's why a lot of the kids go into it.
So, sir, you had a total list of 700 companies. He called 300, and you had an acquisition list of 4, right?
Yep.
So that's the ratio.
Well, that was the ratio there, yeah. No, he only had, that's the other reason he moved to Nevada is because I think he only bought one in Chicago, and when he went to Las Vegas, he bought 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. But, and this chart is, I love when I'm on time here. Oh, it's already up there. The private equity model, this is not the private equity, but it reminds me, the private equity model is they see 100 deals on paper. They bring in 10 to pitch them. They do due diligence on 2. They invest in 1. That's roughly speaking the private equity model. 100 to 1. Okay. Of those 1, then they build a portfolio of, let's say, 50 portfolio companies. Let's make it easy, make it 30. 10 will go bust, 10 will break even, and 10 will do well. Of the 10 that will do well, you maybe get 1 that's a Facebook, a Uber, a B&B, whatever. Okay. The odds for us are much higher on breaking even or excelling, but it's still 100 companies. Now these questions, and you're going to get this link, are the 100 questions that you should ask, or your team should ask, or your accountant should ask, and or your lawyer should ask. You need to know and what to look for. It's a quasi due diligence list. Okay. If you can't answer almost all of these questions positively, next. The very first question on this list is it cash flow positive? If you can't get past one, you don't have to read the other 99. And a lot of the businesses that you're going to look at, not because you're dumb, but because you're going to turn over a lot of rocks, are not going to be cash flow positive. The QLA model is based on cash flow positive, meaning cash flow, free cash flow, can cover debt service. But you start with cash flow positive. And another due diligence list you're going to get as a template, one of the questions I used to ask is, are you making or losing money? That's how it starts. Because some people don't understand what cash flow is. Are you making or losing money? How you doing? Breaking even what? Oh, and if they say we're losing money, that's a red flag. But I didn't do it like Josh, but I wanted to know whether we had something to talk about because I didn't want to waste time. Of course, any girl that has ever known me in the biblical sense realizes that foreplay is not my long suit, and foreplay in buying companies was never my long suit. So I just took my non-foreplay personality and I extended it into business. And you will pray for me, whoever you pray to, when you finally figure out that the shorter the conversation, the more direct the answers. And there's a series of templates. There's a War and Peace template, where 15 minutes later you ask them if they're interested in being sold. There's the shorter template. Are you making money? Are you cash flowing? But you'll see, and the reason why you shy away from the shorter is because you'll get a quicker no. And down deep inside, that's rejection to you. And if you look at getting a quick no as rejection, you're going to have a hard time. But if you look at getting a quick no as developing your skill sets, you want a quick no as soon as possible. A quick no. I know you guys, if at the end of the day, and maybe young people aren't interested in sex anymore, if at the end of the day you call them, you meet them for coffee, flowers, candy, a lunch, a dinner, if you're not expecting something at the end of that process, okay, or if you are expecting something at the end of the process and you know the answer is going to be no, better that they say, no, I can't have coffee with you. And quit fucking around. Quit fucking around because you're never going to get fucked. Bye-bye, YouTube. Thank you.